Jen Mall, and welcome to Nurse Connect. I am an RN and a board-certified nurse coach. I believe that connecting with others is essential to living a happy and fulfilled life, and that sharing our stories not only helps us to heal ourselves, but also helps others by inspiring hope and optimism. I am so grateful to share stories of these incredible nurses on their journey, and I encourage you to find a way to share yours too. Thanks for listening in. Hey everyone, we'll jump onto this week's podcast in just a moment. But real quick, if you're a nurse coach or a leader and are interested in developing a hospital-based nurse coaching and wellness program, then I would love for you to join me in my Facebook group, Hospital-Based Nurse Coaching and Wellness Programs. In this group, we share best practices and resources, as well as trainings to help you develop a successful program, which will decrease turnover and burnout, as well as increase employee satisfaction. Of course, we know this leads to decreased serious safety events and improved patient experience. I have got a free mini course that I can send you to get started on this journey. I will drop the link below, and I hope to see you inside the group. Have a great day. Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Nurse Connect podcast. I'm Jen Mall, and I'm happy to have Kathleen here with me today. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to jump into your journey and hear how you got started and where you're at now. So let's go back. How did you get into nursing?
Awesome. So what had happened was way back in, I don't know what even year that was, when I was, 17, 18. I remember we were on a little road trip with my parents and my younger sister, and I told them, Mom, Dad, I want to be a writer. I want to do English major. And my mom's like, no, you're going to do nursing.
Oh, geez.
It's because I'm Filipino, and it's either you work in healthcare or media,
Oh, interesting.
or you don't. You do something else. So it's kind of expected. So, I'm like, okay, Mom. Because also like I didn't really know what else I wanted to do, what I could do. So I just ended up going to nursing. So when I applied, I went to Malloy College at the time. Now it's Malloy University, and I did actually ended up getting a full scholarship there. So
Wow.
we're like, all right, that's it. That's where I'm going.
Incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. So I met my friends, most of my friends there, and the second semester of my freshman year, Dr. Jean Watson did a symposium at our college, and our one of our professors, she's like, "Go! I will sneak you in if I have to. Just go." So I went, and it honestly it completely like changed my life.
Yeah.
At the time, her praxis was still called the theory of human caring, and I was just so enamored that it's like nursing, even though yes, it's a healthcare profession, it's medical and clinical. It's we're not, it's caring is really at the center, the core of who we are as nurses. So I just kind of had carried that with me, and that's where it kind of started. So I never let go of that. And even in my senior year, I ended up doing like a little research project on where the caring moment is with nursing students during their clinicals. So me, a couple other students, and we were supervised by a professor. We gathered information on where were you during clinicals, like what moments, like can you identify any? And we got a lot of responses, but we got, I think, at least for being really small, I think we got at least maybe like 25, 26 responses. So that was my professor was really impressed that we got that much. So and then so we presented at our local nursing conference, and then I actually submitted it to be a paper presentation at Sigma.
Cool.
So I think like in 2016, I think I got to present it as a poster presentation at the Sigma conference in Dublin. So that was really fun.
Wow.
And then from there, I I just kind of followed her. So I did her Caritas coach
Mm.
program, cohort 20, and we actually graduated like right when COVID hit, like
Ugh.
right there. So we had a virtual graduation. So that was
Mhm.
it was interesting because it wasn't as common as
Right.
doing virtual things now. Is even my nurse coach course through Inca,
Mhm.
it's all online. Our
Mhm.
graduation's going to be online. Like it's wild. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and then that's how I found out about nurse coaching. They said we could use, I actually don't know if I can anymore, but we could use her CEUs from the course to sit
Great.
for the holistic nursing board
Mhm.
certification. And then I looked into it, and then it said, oh, if you get both, you can be a nurse coach. And I'm like, what's a nurse coach? So then
Yes.
I kind of looked at that. I'm like, oh, hey, this is cool. But I never felt like I was ready. And this was like, what I say, the beginning of COVID. So we're going like
Okay.
4 or 5 years
Yeah.
now. So I just last September, I just felt like it was time. Actually, what part I was between two programs, the Nurse Coach Collective
Mhm.
and Inca. And I actually chose Inca because Dr. Watson's Caring Science Institute actually endorses Inca now.
Beautiful.
So I'm like, okay, great. This is it.
That's a
That's the sign
sign.
I was waiting for.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh man.
beautiful. I would, before we jump more into coaching, I would love to back us up. So when you integrated that the caring science really early in your nursing career, which is incredible because that's pretty much why most of us want to be nurses, is to have those connections with our patients and our peers. And oftentimes we get pulled away from that. But what did you end up doing bedside nursing when you got out of school? What did your
Okay.
nursing career kind
So
of look like?
it's funny because I've been rehashing my nursing journey a couple times throughout like the past 2 weeks. Really, it
Uh-huh.
was really odd. So basically, what had happened was right out of nursing school, I was throwing out applications like candy, like hoping
Mhm.
something would come. And I remember one random night, I actually, it was close to midnight. I just put an application in to work at the Cleveland Clinic for
Oh,
like one of
cool.
their fellowship programs. And then much to my surprise, they wanted to interview me, but I had to
Cool.
go. But I had to go. This is pre-COVID, so I had to go
Cleveland.
there to be interviewed. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell my family because I didn't tell them I submitted application
Mhm.
over there because I didn't think I was gonna get it.
Mhm.
So when I told my mom, and she's just like, but why? I'm like,
Why
I
not?
don't know. Why not? It was one of the top hospitals in the country. Why not? People kept saying I'll be good, so why not shoot for the stars, right?
Cool.
So my mom and I, we flew to Cleveland, interviewed, and then a while later I found out that they did want to hire me. Excuse me.
Mhm.
We we ended up having to go back, go apartment hunting. We go
Oh,
apartment
wow.
hunting, and I had to do like all of the pre-screenings.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of happened. And so then I ended up going there like November 2016,
Mhm.
right around Thanksgiving, actually. So I
Mhm.
remember it was super, super warm and beautiful. And then the next day there was like a blanket of snow on the ground.
You're like,
So
what
I'm
am I
like,
doing?
it's yeah, like what am I doing? What's happening? So, but it was a humbling experience because I actually did not make it past my orientation at that point.
Mm.
So it kind of like deflated me, but I didn't.
Mhm.
I begged my parents for me to move there. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
just go back after a couple months. So I ended up finding
Yeah.
another job. It I did not have my car at the time, so I was taking like two buses for like a couple hours to get to
Wow.
my job, and it again was a humbling experience. It's just I there was a lot of people that I met um over there. I experienced like the first when somebody expired, like that was my first
Mhm.
experience over there. um and it the environment was not very supportive
Mm.
or like understanding, or like they just kind of threw you to the wolves,
Yeah.
and you better hope that you catch up. So
Wow.
even my partner, if we actually could have two nurses on the floor at the time, because it
Mhm.
was like a short-term rehab kind of place.
Mm.
If we could have a second nurse, my partner, she worked in the ER for like couple years, like 5, 7 years.
Mhm.
And this job made her go back on her anti-anxiety medications.
Oh,
And at that point,
wow.
I'm like, no, thank you. I need to get out of here
Yeah.
at that. And there were just a lot of internal issues. But at that point, I'm just like, I can't keep doing this.
Mhm.
I did it. I did what I wanted, but now I think it's time to go home.
Okay.
So of course my family welcomed me back. And then
Good.
I actually, um, when I was looking for jobs to when I was going to return back to New York, I actually started doing temp nursing, and I
Mhm.
worked with people with developmental disabilities. And that was
Oh.
basically my bread and butter for like most of
Mm.
my career. And I remember I was talking to the recruiter. He's like, but why do you want to like do bedside? Like what? Like I'm like, I don't know. Like people told me I'd be good at it.
Yeah.
He's like, but is that what you want? And this is just some random person like
Yeah.
asking me these questions, asking me the hard questions. I'm like, I don't know. So it was and then at that point I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing my nursing career based on something that other people have been telling me that I would be
Yeah.
good at, while not actually asking myself, what do I actually want to do? What do I like? And
Mhm.
it was just, that was like one of the first of many humbling experiences that I've had. So, but when I returned to New York, I spent a lot of time with people with developmental disabilities. For the first couple of years, I worked with the kids,
Mhm.
and they're so fun. They are, there's no fear.
Yeah.
They're just 100% themselves, 100% of the time. And it's very special just to watch them. And then a couple years later, I would work with more of the adults. And it
Mm.
was funny that I oversaw a few group homes, and one of them was new. And some of them it was an aging out. So it was from the school that was closing that I used to work at. And
Mm.
then lo and behold, when I walk in for my first day, I see like three people that I used to take care of like 3 years
That's
ago,
awesome.
and one, they actually remembered me,
Mhm.
which
I
was
love
very,
that.
very, yeah, it was great. They actually remembered me. And one of them, she, she, her hugs were like, she kind of pushed down on your shoulders,
Mhm.
but it was a sign of affection. And I
Yeah.
knew that. So
Yeah.
when all the staff saw her coming at me with her arms stretched out, they're like, oh no, don't do that. I'm like, no, 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 it's fine. It's fine. Like I know who she is. It's
Oh.
fine. So then I
Oh,
did
that's
that
so
for her.
awesome. I
Yes.
love that, isn't it so amazing that one person with one question can make you really stop and think, what am I doing? Why
Oh
am I
yeah.
doing this? Why have I been living my life and my career for other people, thinking what they want me to do? And I've never even really considered what I want to do. And how beautiful that you really internalized that and considered that and then fell into this path in your career helping kiddos that probably a lot of people can't do. And so thank you for doing that because it's so important and how I could see you light up just talking about these kiddos and that's just so special.
Yeah, they were really special. And I remember during my one of my last jobs with the kids, they would I was at like an actual school, and they would
Mhm.
do musicals, and they did The Little Mermaid, and it was
Oh,
so fun. It was so fun. And then they also had a talent show where
fun.
it was fun. They sang their little hearts out, and
Oh,
it was quite beautiful.
that's awesome.
But at some point, I stopped working with them because at some
Mhm.
point I was just getting injured a lot. Like
Oh.
we could just in like a 3 month period, I fell in the driveway because they didn't, it was snowing and they didn't fill the potholes even though
Oh
we told them
no.
to so many times. So like I slipped,
Yeah.
busted my knee open.
Oh no.
Thank God it was just like a cut, thank goodness. And then someone, our big 6'2", 250 pound, he
Mm.
came at me and drop kicked me, and I went down
Mm.
like a sack of potatoes.
Oh
So
no.
there are again a lot of internal issues. But
Yeah.
so at that point, again, I asked myself, what am I
Yes.
doing? Do I like it here? What do I actually like about nursing? And at
Hmm.
that point in at time, I'm like, I like talking on the phone and I like documenting. Can I do something with that? And then it
Great.
turns out, and it turns out you could do something with that. So, so I ended up going into case management for an insurance
Cool.
company for the past 2 years, and then I recently switched jobs just to get leg up, better benefits, fully
Hmm.
remote. So nursing career wise, that's where I'm at. So I actually just started this new job the beginning of this month,
Cool.
February. So it's learning curve is steep, but
Yeah.
it's again, it's what I like about nursing right now that gets my bills paid, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's the beautiful thing about nursing is there are so many options and well, we absolutely need bedside nurses. There are so many different options outside of the bedside. And you've just demonstrated several right off the bat. So I think it's really important to ask yourself what you really want and need and then find a way to make that work.
yeah, and putting in the work, I feel like I've been putting in the work for like, how long has it been? Since 2016. I feel like I've been putting in the work since
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
And the type of work just changes, whether it's
Hmm.
professional work or
Hmm.
like internal work or your family relationships. The work
Yeah.
is different, but
Yeah.
it's hard work.
Yeah, for sure. And so now you found your way into coaching to kind of blend the holistic elements of nursing, which is again why I think most of us went into it, but we get so task oriented and medical management. And so now with coaching, I think it's such a beautiful blend of all elements of the human, that person that you're with and helping them through. And so what has your experience been so far in your program? What are you looking forward to?
So right now we are in our uh, practicum part, our clinical part. So we need to do sessions with no longer our peers, but real
Ah,
people in the real
yeah.
world. And I'm just going to put a plug if anybody in the state of New York would like free coaching sessions with me, feel free to reach out. Um, Jen, I presume details will
Perfect.
be in the
Yeah. Yeah. I'll share
great,
Kathleen's information in the show notes. But yeah,
perfect,
what does it look
perfect.
like to have free coaching while you're in your program?
So it's for me, it's learning about my style
Hmm.
and what path I kind of want to take.
Hmm.
Right now, I'm all about holding space for people. And as my instructor says, there's no wrong way to do
Right.
nurse coaching.
Right.
It's your way, and if you just try it, if it doesn't work, then that's okay. And a lot of people, especially now, they need space held
Hmm.
for them, a safe
Hmm.
space. And I'm trying to do my best to be that safe space for people. And then we could talk about what goals, what's holding them back, or
Yeah.
things that they'd like to accomplish in the future. My ideally, I would love to work with women with ADHD.
Mm,
I'm one of those where
me
I kind
too.
of, yeah, I'm one of those where I kind of, at first I self-diagnosed myself, which
Yeah.
is still a valid form of
Yeah.
diagnosing. But then I'm like, wait, I was in that imposter syndrome. I'm like, do I have it? Do I not have it? And I remember while I was, if I do, I need medication.
Yeah.
And I finally connected with a practitioner. He listened to me. He listened to me, which was the
Good.
important part.
Yes.
Because a lot of sometimes a lot of practitioners, they forget how to listen and not
Mm-hmm.
listen to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So the when that I felt validated because that practitioner said, yes, you have ADHD.
Yeah.
It is mild. I don't think you need medication, but you can benefit from coaching. And I'm like, what?
Great.
What does that?
Ah.
I'm like, what does that mean? So, um, and then that was also part of the reason why I wanted to go into nurse coaching,
Mm-hmm.
just to help out that population. I know there's a whole bunch of like life coaches, ADHD coaches.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen if there's a nurse coach that specializes with
Cool.
people in ADHD, but it's, it's something that the coaching has benefited me. And,
Good.
I'd like to share what I've learned with other people. And even if you don't have ADHD, sometimes these things just the coping
Yeah.
and the hacking your brain part, it could just benefit someone who doesn't have the neurodivergent brain as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've really kind of tried to embrace it that it's the neurodivergent is actually a superpower and it is what's made me me. But for so long, I didn't understand why I felt like I thought differently than others and why my monkey brain, would be out of control and I couldn't focus on one thing. And I always had a million projects going. It's very high energy. But I think it's so different. It presents very differently in women than it does in men in most cases. And so a lot of the traditional symptoms that you think of these little boys that just can't sit still in their seats, that, are getting in trouble. A lot of girls are not that way when they're young. A lot of times they're spacey, but in their minds, right? We're our monkey minds going around, but we may be sitting there still like appearing to listening. And so it was really interesting when I started researching it for my son. And then I was like, I have all these symptoms and it was kind of self-diagnosing at first and then had a therapist and I started talking with her and she's like, well, sure, you meet diagnostic criteria. Does that help? Does it change? And I'm like, well, no, I guess it just validates that I'm not crazy and there's a diagnosis for what, I've struggled with my whole life and now I can understand a little better. And I presume you probably over your life have created a lot of coping mechanisms and strategies to manage symptoms. What are some of the things that have worked well for you?
So right now, what has been helping is different forms of breath work,
Yes.
having
Too.
a dopamenu.
Ah.
I've done that with a couple clients. We've created a little dopamenu of things because a lot of things with ADHD, it revolves around dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of task avoidance because I don't get pleasure from this.
Yes.
B, I don't want to do it. Oh, and we perceive that as actually being painful, so we're not going to want to do it
Mm-hmm. Of
because why would
course.
I want to do something if it brings me pain?
Cause my pain. Yeah.
So having this dopamenu, a readily accessible dopamenu,
I love that.
um, for some of my clients, it's been a good way for them to refer back to, like, for example, so you have the format that I use, they're starters, which
Mm-hmm.
things, quick fixes like petting a cat,
Oh,
listening to a happy song,
yeah.
something like that. And then drinks, which is an actual, like, whatever drinks you
Okay.
like someone likes triple shot coffee with extra sugar, I'm like, okay, fine, that's great, you can enjoy that. Entrees are things that take a little bit more time, like
Mm-hmm.
doing a workout, going for a walk, maybe cooking a meal for
Mm-hmm.
yourself or someone that you love. And then your desserts are something that is indulgent. So go get a massage,
Yeah.
go book a vacation somewhere just to get away for yourself, go to a spa or something like that. So that's the basic format of how I have made them with my clients, and
Yeah.
they're all personalized with each other. What else has helped? Having a support system,
Yeah.
and just if what I've done so far is if I need like a check-in, right? If like, hey, um, message me in like 2 hours to see how I'm doing, if I'm actually
Yes.
doing the thing. And then going farther than that is a concept called body doubling. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, where it was usually when you work with another person, right? Or you set up a so how do you use it? Because I've not really used that technique.
So how I use it is there's a program. Just going to put shout out to FocusMate.
Okay.
It connects you with strangers.
Okay.
Just if I'm available at 8 o'clock a.m. and you're available at 8 o'clock a.m., we're going to connect, and then we'll do a video chat and say, Jen, I am going to tidy up my office today
Yeah.
for like whatever 15, half an hour, 60 minutes, however long that session is. And you don't need to talk. Some people do not have their cameras on, or some people have their cameras on and turn their microphones off,
Yeah.
but just the idea that another person is there just kind of, again, calls to your monkey brain to be like, hey,
Yes, this
we're
is what
going to
I'm
do
doing.
this now.
Yeah, yeah. And so, that is so interesting. So I guess I haven't actually officially done like a program like that. But what I find really helpful is I work with a couple of coaches and they'll just have like work hour, like a focused hour. And they just say, okay, on Mondays at 9 a.m., I'm going to be online in this space. Everybody jump on and then in the chat, put what you're working on. And when I do that, I get so much more work done because it's like I'll put a sticky note up on my computer that these are the 5 things I want to get done this hour. Oh, and it's incredible. So I guess I am doing that. I didn't really realize with that term. So that's super
You
helpful for
sure
me.
are.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
sure are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another part of ADHD is kind of going like when you were talking about your son and it how ADHD manifests in differently in women, which of course
Mm-hmm.
it does. It reminded me of when I was doing research for myself that the
Mm-hmm.
tests that are made, to diagnose ADHD, they are made for little boys.
Yes. Yes.
They're not made for
Adult women.
usually adult women. So when I went to go get one of these formal diagnosis tests, and it's so funny. At the initial appointment, I
Mm-hmm.
spoke with the man himself, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you definitely have ADHD." I'm like, "Okay, great, cool." And then when I did all the testing and I came back to, go over my results. He's like, "Oh, you don't have ADHD, you're just depressed." I'm like, "I
Oh,
knew
thanks.
that already." I'm like, "I
Yeah.
knew that already."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's fascinating. But
Yeah.
again, another part of ADHD, I just completely lost my next thought. So,
Oh, right. Yes. No, I do that too. But what I have noticed too in all my own research is depression, anxiety, and ADHD have very similar symptoms in women. And so what helped me when I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression during the pandemic, I had lost my nursing job and was in a very rough place.
yeah,
And it was also the time when I started doing the research and for my son and realized that. And so I'm like, well, what is it all of them? Is it some of them? And then what I kind of came to is it didn't matter. It was how I felt in my body and I wanted to change that. And so it was like, what are the types of things that help me manage my symptoms? And so it is very individualized because you got to try a bunch of different things to figure out what works for you. What worked most for me was getting a mindfulness practice in place. And I started meditating while I was in the Nurse Coach Collective, which wasn't until 2022. I had meditated off and on and done some breath work and tapping, and I had dabbled in it from 2020 to 2022. I really like dabbling. I'm a dabbler in general, which a lot of
yes.
ADHDers are,
Oh
and I've
yes.
embraced that. But once I got into the Nurse Coach Collective, into my coaching program, it was one of the requirements we had to do this weekly, and I found that the days that I meditated, I felt so much less spacey and less anxiety, less like scatterbrain. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to keep trying this. And so I, you know, made a goal for myself to meditate at least 5 minutes a day, every day. And I did that for a full year and I saw my anxiety completely go away. And people that know me before were like, you just seem
Mhm.
so different. And I'm like, yeah. It's
Love
like I'm
that.
much calmer. Yeah, it really did change my life, just meditating and physical movement. When I stop my exercise and yoga or running or whatever I'm doing, when I'm not consistent with that, my symptoms come flaring right back. So it is just trying to figure out kind of what works for you too.
Yeah, and it's so with Inca, we also have a awareness practice that we have to,
Good.
do with our clients. I've
Uh-huh.
kind of, I'll be honest with you, I kind of just I've taken a little bit of what works for me.
Yes.
I actually didn't do most of the ones that because I found one that worked for me and I just
Yeah.
kind of stuck with that.
Yes.
So I
Good.
do actually I do heart math
Oh, I love
with
heart math.
my
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So for the people that do not know what heart math is, I've explained it to my clients because I like sharing things.
It's
So
beautiful.
yes, but heart math is in a nutshell when your heart, your brain, and your nervous system are in
Yes.
alignment with each other, and that's when you're in alignment. That's when the little voice in your head that sounds like you actually gets a chance to
Rest.
speak up, and you can actually hear that little voice. And the way that's
Mhm.
accomplished is through that just 5 minutes of, or however long it takes, a couple
Yeah.
minutes of meditation and just focusing on feelings of love, joy,
Mhm.
happiness. Because and you and I as nurses know that your heart actually has electrical pulses,
Mhm.
and there's a whole it sounds like a lot of woo woo, but it is scientifically
Yep.
based. There's research, 30 years of research behind it, that when a person is in coherence, so your
Mhm.
heart, your mind, and your nervous system are all in alignment with each other, your you have an electromagnetic field 3 feet all around you, like a little bubble,
Yeah.
and the vibration is just, it's noticeable. So like when you walk
Mhm.
into a room and there's that person that they're having a good day and it
Yeah.
feels good, and again that same person, you go see them a different day and something bad happened and you can immediately tell.
Yeah.
It's like one of
Yeah.
those intuitive things. So
Yeah.
when I do my heart math practice with my clients, it's I always ask them like, how are you feeling? I'm like, feel great. I
Yeah.
feel like
Uh-huh.
I got to know myself a
Yeah.
little bit, and I'm like, that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
it's something I like to incorporate, and
I
it
love it.
does. Um, and also when you were talking about your physical movement, I did a practice session with another nurse coach, Tiffany Human,
Oh yeah, I
and
love her.
she's amazing. She was the one who like kind of made me fall down the rabbit hole
Yeah.
of somatic
Yes.
interventions. And I'm like, oh my God, no wonder talk there. Like I got more from one session out of
Yes.
her than I had for like
Beautiful.
therapy for like the past 6 months. Like it
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, and even now, like I've noticed that there's a resurgence of like somatic practices, the
Mhm.
vagus nerve theory, especially that book, The Body Keeps Score.
Yes. I've got that back on my
Like,
bookshelf.
yep, me too. I think it's over
Incredible.
here somewhere. I just saw it.
Yeah.
It's just with the pandemic, it's just that resurgence
Mm.
of meeting yourself
Yeah.
is quite, you know, outstanding. And I think like throughout most of our lives, we're still trying to meet ourselves where we're at.
Right. Right. Oh, I love that. And heart math, heart focused breathing is super simple. And I actually taught it to my nurses during, I'm a nurse educator and I run their skills days. And so that was one of the practices I taught to them, and just
Love it.
how simple it can be, just 2 to 3 minutes even of just, focusing on your heart space, letting your mind calm, letting your thoughts release, just, yeah, listening to your body. What do you need? And it was palpable, like before, the energy in the room before.
Mm,
And even there, there were some people that didn't want to do it because they felt it was too woo woo. And I said, no problem. I'm never going to force you to do anything. Just sit quietly so that the others in the room can, get into it if they want to. And so,
mm.
and I stood up in the front of the room with my eyes closed, my hand on my heart, and just leading them. And it was like, we did that right at the beginning of the day. And it was just like, oh, and so it's an easy practice to integrate. So if you maybe start your day that way, or when you start feeling super stressed, if you can find a quiet space for a couple of minutes and just do that, it can really easily get your nervous system into alignment, your heart, your brain, your body. It's incredible.
Yeah, and one of the things that's also helped me is I will do like when I first get up in the morning, I'll put my hand over my heart and just
Hmm.
take anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths, just initially before I do anything else, and just it's a habit, so it helps
Yeah.
me form that habit, but
Yeah.
it also kind of just sets me up for the rest of the morning at least. Who knows how the
Yes.
day is going to go, but at least it'll
Exactly.
set me up for the morning.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've learned is that I can only control what I can control, right? So if I can start my morning in a good space, almost always my day flows fairly well. And if it doesn't, I'm able to adapt rather than react much better when I've taken care of myself first thing in the morning. But I used to just get out of bed, jump right in the shower, drinking my coffee and food on the way to work. I mean, I just start my day in chaos. And no wonder I lived in chaos, because that was how I started my day. And so as I've, figured out different techniques that work for me, it is non-negotiable for me to start my morning in a controlled, calm space. And then it allows me for the rest of my day and for myself to flow so much better.
Yeah, and non-negotiable, that's a word that's kind of come up a lot since
Mm.
I've been doing the nurse coaching class, and I've been a client myself. I have a few different coaches for different things because I
Hmm.
realize I'm very aware of of
Yes.
myself and my needs,
Isn't it
and aware
beautiful?
it's great, and it's where I need support. And there was a
Yes.
lot of most of the coaches that I work with are like, "What are your non-negotiables?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like when they first asked me that question, I'm like, "What?" I had to sit down and think about it. I'm like, "What are my non-negotiables?
Yeah.
What actually matters to me enough that I have to do it no
Yeah.
matter what?" And again, just kind of taking a step back and reflecting, what's actually important to me.
Right.
And it's again very, very humbling to just kind of look back, even just going over my nursing journey with you. If any of those
Mhm.
one things happened differently, if I stayed at my job at the Cleveland Clinic, we probably wouldn't be talking right now.
Right. Yes. I love that. And being able to reflect back and acknowledge that. I think it all starts with acknowledging and awareness, and then you can go different places from there. But trying to reflect back on our journey is like there were really hard times, but again, we can't change that now. And so, but to be able to have maybe gratitude, maybe not, depending on where you're at in your phase of acceptance of what happened. But at least acknowledging it and going, you know what, that was hard, but if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's challenging. It's challenging to flip and actually find gratitude in those really difficult times. But you're here, and
Yeah,
that's amazing.
we're here, and that, like you said, that first step, even if you just acknowledge what had happened,
Yes.
it's just enough. So it's that any big emotions that come from that
Mhm.
experience, like before, if I had went over my nursing journey even like 2 years ago with you, and
Mhm.
I would be talking about Cleveland, I'd probably be a crying mess. But
Yes.
it's but like now, like reflecting on it, like I'm I got a little emotional, but like
Mhm.
I'm feeling okay talking about it now, because again, just zooming out, it was just a part of the journey.
Right.
And we're still, I'm still on the journey, you're still on the journey, just trying to figure out what's happening. And it's again, it's been humbling so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I really appreciate your time today to share your journey. And I love that we delved into the ADHD stuff. I had no idea we were going there. And it's definitely been a huge part of my own journey too. And so I'm grateful that you're so open to sharing. And I love your what did you call it? Your dopamenu. I love that
Yes.
term. That is so fun.
Oh,
And
good.
it's so true, because that's what we're looking for, is our next dopamine hit. And what's going to get us. I don't want to sit here and do this, work on my business, but I have to move it forward. So what can I proactively do to get my dopamine hit so I can move in and be productive in the things that I don't want to do so
Hmm.
that I can continue to move my business forward and grow as a human.
Yes, yes. Just doing, again, one of the bigger takeaways is just take what you need from everything that you've learned, just take what you need and just leave the rest behind. You have
Yes.
you have what it takes, and just keep doing what feels good
Right.
what feels good, what feels right to us. And that's how we keep moving forward. But it's looking back is important, but we have to continue moving forward.
Which is where coaching is incredibly valuable because it helps give you the tools for how to do that. Yeah.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Well, Kathleen, thank you again so much. Now, do you have any kind of stuff set up yet for your coaching business? Any emails, websites, Facebook pages, Instagram?
No, not yet. I do
Okay,
have a booking link that
cool.
I can share with you to put in the show notes.
That'd be
Nothing
great.
official yet. Because we're again I'm scared to put myself out
That's
there. So
okay. It's all part of the journey. It's a process.
yeah, but I'll definitely share that booking link if again any of your New York listeners wants to have a chat and get some free coaching. I'd be very grateful. But it's once things do get set up, I'll definitely let you know because
Sounds
I'm
great.
excited to see where
It
everything
is.
goes.
It is. It is. It's such a wonderful journey. Thank you again, Kathleen, and we will catch you all next time. Thank you.
Thank